Hey everybody, welcome back. We're so glad that you're here for day 3. Today we're talking about our interdependency on Christ. I'm Tim McCowan.
I'm Steve Troop.
And as we're talking today, we're talking about ministering in service and how the analogies were, first of all, a family, a fellowship, and today a flock. And if you think about a sheep is something that's truly a service animal. I mean, we eat sheep, lambs, and things. We also take the wool from sheep. It's a very sacrificial animal, and that's why Jesus uses that. He uses probably his reference as a shepherd or the people as sheep more than any other analogy. And so as we see us in ministry, we think of ourselves as a flock. And a flock is really defenseless whenever there's just one sheep that's over there all by itself. And so a wolf will come up and take it. But if they're together as a flock together and a shepherd there, it has protection, and we're able to serve one another. So I'm going to ask Steve, what are some different ministry opportunities that we have in a church?
Well, so in this church in particular, we have our children's department, we have our teenagers, we have the nursery, we have needs for teachers for all our different life groups to fill in as alternates when the primary teacher needs a day off. We need help with counting the money from the tithes and offerings, cleaning the church. No task is too small. If we staffed every position that we have open for helps, we would have nearly 300 people serving at one time.
That's right.
So there were a lot of needs to keep the church functioning appropriately at all times.
Sure. And if you come to the church and you say, well, my previous church did something that you're not doing, a response I frequently give to people is I say, well, that's why you're here.
That's right.
We want to start that ministry. And then once they get it started, I'll frequently use what my former pastor would say, that's your baby, you rock it. And if God gives you a heart, there's a reason why you're in our church. There's a reason why Steve works with our military people. He's in the military, has a heart need for ministries to military. And now that Steve is here, we're getting that effectively done. So whenever you come into a church, we want you to be active and involved in our church ministry. Steve, another thing a person said is, I want to be a part of the church, but I don't want to be active in it. And it's kind of like saying I want to be a part of a football team, but I want to come to the games, but I don't want to come to the practice. We have to take our role together, and every role is important. We're going to talk more about how we're gifted to serve tomorrow. But right now, we have to have a ministry heart. What did Jesus say, Steve, by the way, about the reason why he came to serve?
Well, Jesus said that he came not to be served, but to serve others, right? And so when we talk about Christ in the context of the body of believers, he's just often described as the shepherd, right? The chief shepherd. And in the text for today is 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 1 through 5. It does talk about his role as the chief shepherd and the role of the shepherd for the local church, right? And we do have some information in the booklet on pages 28, 29, and I believe following about the role of the pastor, the elder, and the leader of the church, right? The local church. So Christ talks about even himself as serving the body in the role of a servant. And that same mindset is also expected of the believers.
It talks about the role, Peter being an under shepherd, under the chief shepherd, and how he loved the flock. 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 1 through 5 says this, "Therefore I exhort the elders among you as your fellow elder and witness of the sufferings of Christ and a partaker of the glory that is to be revealed. Shepherd the flock of God among you, exercising oversight, not under compulsion, but voluntarily, according to the will of God, and not for sordid gain, but for eagerness, nor as lording it over those allotted to your charge, but proving to be examples to the flock. And whenever the chief shepherd appears, you will receive the unfading crown of glory. You younger men, likewise, be subject to your elders, and all of you clothe yourself with humility toward one another, for God is opposed to the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Steve, the reason why we put this passage in there is because we saw Jesus not only as shepherd, but he also said a shepherd gives his life for the sheep. He sacrifices himself. Whenever he would say he is the door and the gate in which the flock could come in and out, what a shepherd would do is that there would be a rock and a quarry around where they would keep the sheep, but then the shepherd himself would curl up and become the gate. And then whenever the sheep would try to get out, they met with the shepherd. So he was not only the way in and out of the flock, but he was the protector, the one that kept them inside. So he has both the door as well as the way to get in and out of the flock and the fold. So we see that Jesus is our chief shepherd, and then yet he came to serve. And so we too need to have that ministry in service, and that's another way that we're interdependent as a flock. So I hope that was helpful to you. There's more information on our Blogspot site as well as in the book. So hopefully you'll be getting that book and following along with us as we go through day 4 tomorrow in this Making Membership More Meaningful. Thanks again.